Our faith, please hear me, our faith is not in ourselves. Our faith is not in our ability to be faithful. And our faith is not in our faith. Please understand this. Our faith is not in our faith. Our faith is not in our great faith or the strength of our faith. You hear some Christians sometimes, and you can tell by what they say, that they are wrongly putting their faith in their faith and the strength of their faith and how much faith they have. And we describe people as a person of great faith. And you hear people say things like, I'm believing God for big things. I'm believing God for this. Or I'm believing God for that. That's faith in your faith. That's focusing on your faith as the object of your faith. The strength of faith is in the object of your faith, what or who you are putting your hope in. The object of our faith is in God and His ability and His power. Not my ability to believe in Him, but in Him. Look back at verse 3. Abraham believed God. Abraham believed God. Abraham did not believe in his ability to believe. Abraham believed God and who God is and His character and His nature and His ability. The object of Abraham's faith was God. He believed God was able to do what God promised in spite of Abraham's advanced age, in spite of Sarah's infertility and inability to have children. Abraham believed God was able to give him children with Sarah. Abraham's faith was in God and God's power. Now, over in Matthew chapter 17, verse 20, Matthew 17:20, Jesus said, I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed. A mustard seed was the smallest known seed in Israel at that time. If you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. The power is in the thing that you have your faith in, not your faith. Right? You can have tiny faith, the faith of a mustard seed, but if your faith is in God and His power and His ability, well, God can move mountains. Not my faith isn't moving the mountain. God is moving the mountain. God is moving the mountain. The faith is in Him and His power and His ability. Now, look at the end of verse 17. The end of verse 17. The end of verse 17. What did Abraham believe about God? Abraham believed God gives life to the dead and calls those things which do not exist as though they did. Abraham believed that God gives life to the dead. As we're going to see in a couple verses, Abraham, because of his advanced age, his body was dead. Sarah's womb was dead. And so for God to fulfill this promise that of Abraham would come a great nation, God would have to make Abraham and Sarah's dead body alive to do that. So Abraham believed that God can give life to the dead and that God can call those things which do not exist as though they did. God called Abraham the father of many nations when Abraham was an elderly man and had no children. He's calling him something that doesn't exist. He's not a father at all. much less the father of a great nation. And so look at verse 18. Speaking of Abraham's faith, look at what we're told here about Abraham's faith. Who, contrary to hope, in hope believed, so that he became the father of many nations, according to what was spoken, so shall your descendants be. And not being weak in faith, he did not consider his own body already dead, since he was about 100 years old, and the deadness of Sarah's womb. She was 90 years old. He did not waver at the promise of God through unbelief, but was strengthened in faith, giving glory to God for the promise, and being, notice, fully convinced that what God had promised, he was able to perform, and therefore it was accounted to Abraham for righteousness. Abraham believed that God could give life to the dead. Again, Abraham's body was dead. He was 100 years old. Sarah's womb was dead. She was 90 years old. Their bodies were dead in the sense that their bodies were physically unable to conceive a child. Sarah had been infertile her entire life. And at the age of 90, she's well past her childbearing years.